the legs, right? All right, just try your best. Walk. Jump. Maybe just keep coming around. I am married to the beautiful lady right here, Anna Smith.
Smart man.
Proud parents of 3 kids. Mission was to help and assist persons in the area of health, diet, and nutrition. My partner, which is Jamal Munker, which is not here tonight, he's actually speaking at another engagement in Freeport. He and I connected together. He came out of a passion of his father suffering, dying from cancer, and nobody being able to help him. So with us coming together, we decided to form Newlife Vegetation Self Food, which we also connected with world-renowned herbalist Dr. Sagini. I don't know if one of you guys ever heard of Dr. Sagini, but he has been able to reverse just about all of the debilitating diseases. He has been contested in the courts of New York, has won the case, and has been released to operate and sell what he calls his formulas, which are really the African biomineral balance. And basically all it really is herbs. And it's the combination of the herbs that actually heal and reverse the debilitating diseases. And on that premise, that's where he initiated what we call the African biomineral balance. Tonight I want to talk to you on a couple of things. I made a few notes, and first of all I want to see if I could stimulate your thought a little bit. I believe one of our greatest assets is really our ability to hear the voice of God. Whatever dominates your thinking will determine not your capacity, but actually your ability to hear that voice. If you were to focus for a moment and think about what you think about every day, you would see how we are consumed, we are possessed, and we are either encouraged or discouraged by our very thoughts. Whether it's thinking that you're too fat or you're too skinny, even though that thought I don't think comes to too many people, but all of these thoughts, they either help us or they contaminate us in some way. And always remember, every thought has an agenda. There is no such thing as a thought without an agenda. So whenever you have a thought, you have to think about, is this thought robbing me of my potential? Is this thought going to help me? Is this thought actually keeping me back? And we must focus ourselves and try to concentrate on our thoughts. And remember to always try to think about stuff that will enhance our lives. One of the things we try to do as persons is we have a mentality, some of us, that look, I can control what I see or what I do, and sometimes we expose ourselves to various negative, whether it's profanity, whether it's illicit behavior, and we think we have this filtering mechanism that can actually filter out this garbage and turn it into something good. The Bible tells us out of the abundance of the heart, what? The mouth speaks. So garbage in, garbage out. So one of my focuses tonight is I want us to think about where we are. Think about where we would like to be. And then think about steps that can actually help us to get in that direction. I always say that there are two types of people in the world. There are people who are with you and people who are against you. And you have to determine from your own spirit, man, the persons who are with you. Because life today is so short, we don't have time to waste time with people who ain't doing nothing. People who ain't going nowhere. We need people to encourage us, to help us, to keep us focused. You can always tell a friend. A friend is someone who adds value to you, not someone who distracts from you. So if you have a prized friend or you like to hang out with somebody or whoever it is, see if that person is adding value to you. See if they are enhancing your life. And if they are not, hey, make the best decision. Move on. Tell them, look, you've outgrown this company and move to the next level. Because always remember, people who are not doing anything or who are not going anywhere, they always like company. People like to be around, people like to associate with nothingness. In other words, it's almost like pigeons flocking together, a whole bunch of them. But what happened to eagles? They fly one at a time. I want to draw your attention to the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 10, that says, you and me, we are Christ's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do what? Good works, which were what? Prepared for us, well, before the foundations of the world. So, you and I, Bert, are what? Evidence that there's something great that's already been accomplished that we were just given birth to start. So your life is not a mistake. If you were born out of wedlock, if you were born out of love, wherever you were, God is actually locked in on you. And you have to do what you were born to do because people are waiting on you to do it. What you were born to do may be personal, but never private. Your success is directly linked to somebody else's success. And when you don't do or become what you were born to be, you are actually what we call a generational robber. In other words, you are robbing somebody else of their potential. You're robbing somebody else of their gift, their talents, their abilities. So you must do and you must become what you were born to be. We are today living in an age with so much uncertainty. I always tell people that change is actually the only constant in life. A lot of people come to me and they say, I'm changing. And I always go back to them and I say, change is not change until you change. So don't tell me you're changing. Change first. We have to acknowledge the fact that in order to make steps in our lives, we must discipline ourselves. I always tell people, discipline, self-discipline is the highest form of discipline. You guys, I understand, have engaged in a weight losing exercise, and the only way you can accomplish that is by self-discipline. The gap between thought and accomplishment is actually discipline. Self-discipline is sacrificial. It takes beating down the flesh. It takes telling that flesh, no sodas, no ice cream today, none of all this good stuff, or what we call good stuff, which is bad stuff. I always tell people the way how you can tell good food from bad food is that when you eat food, the stomach looks for one thing, nutritional value. If there was no nutritional value in it, it was just an exercise in waste. In other words, what we did was we appeased the taste buds, and when that food reaches down into the stomach is looking for what? Zinc and potassium, carbohydrates, and all this stuff. And what we did was just a wasted exercise. No wonder why we feel lethargic and tired, lack of energy. Why? Because we are eating stuff with no nutritional value. I always tell people that information does not bring transformation. Information again does not bring transformation. Until you conceive what you believe, nothing happens. A lot of persons are what I call walking libraries. In other words, they got a lot of information, no application. Application is the evidence of learning. And you have actually only truly learned what you have applied. All the rest is just information. We have to be intentional about our objectives. We have to be intentional about our goals. The information that we get, we cannot just sit on it. Jesus said to a group of people one time, he said, you are what? Always learning, but never coming what? To the truth of the knowledge. In other words, you got all this information, but what is going out through one ear and coming out the other ear. He also talked to a group the other time and he said, let these words sink into your ears. I had a problem with that because I was saying, hold on, here is Jesus in the flesh speaking. And there is a possibility of Jesus in the flesh to speak and it goes to one ear and comes to the next ear. Imagine what other people got. Imagine the problems other people have. If they ain't listening to him, you can imagine other persons. So we have to be very intentional about actually doing something with the information that we have. I always tell people, in order to make those thoughts a reality, you have to be goal-driven. And the goal-driven cannot only come from a thought process. You have to physically write it down. Why? Because when you write it down, you initiate what they call faith. And what it does is it ignites you to action. Where there is no goals, there is a lack of focus. And when you lack focus, you tend to lose momentum. Persons who are not focus driven, they tend to be discouraged. I always like to tell people that in order to achieve your goals, first of all, you gotta figure out what is it you want to achieve. If you aim at nothing, you'll always be successful. Oh. They say, if you don't know where you're going, how many roads will take you there? Any road will take you there. So we have to make sure that we are not only intentional, but we are also focus driven. We must identify areas in our lives that we want to change, that we want to bring growth to, that we want to actually see progress in, and then not only identify those areas, but put specific points that we want to use to achieve those goals. Because I tell you, if you don't write it down, you will forget, you will become discouraged, and then you will have 1,000 other things to cause you to not do what you're supposed to do. And that's just how life is. The other point is we have to believe in ourselves. With a lot of gifts, talents, abilities, and they just lack the belief to believe in themselves. And that belief is a lot of times attracted to what I call fear. And people are actually fearful of the unknown. Matter of fact, I always tell people that fear is also attracted to worry. And worry is what? It's like a rocking chair, going back and forward and getting nowhere. Problem's still there. And sometimes we are trapped in this situation in our lives because we fail to actually believe in ourselves. We must remember that in order for us to move to the next level, we have to believe in ourselves. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will believe in you for you. Because when you examine people, 80% of them don't like you, and 20% hope you fail. And that's just how life is. So if you don't believe in yourself, you got a lot of problems. So we must believe in ourselves. That is key. When you believe in yourself, you actually tap into a field, an area of your life which is called self-love. And when you begin to tap in that area of your life, you want to add value to yourself. And when you want to add value to yourself, you actually start doing things that actually cause you to feel good about yourself. And guess what? When you feel good about yourself, who gets blessed? The other person. Why? Because you only could what? Love somebody to the degree that you love yourself. So if you hate yourself, are you sorry for the other person? So we must focus ourselves to think about areas in our lives that we can change. We must focus on our strengths whilst we what? Manage our weaknesses. It's very important to not focus on your weaknesses. You actually need to manage your weaknesses while you focus on your strengths. Because strength leads to what? Decision making. When you are focusing on a strength in your life, it leads to decision making. Decision making translates into energy. Anybody who is high decision oriented, they are most of the times very energetic. Very, very energetic. So we must remember to, like I said, one of the key factors is focus. Keep yourself focused. There are so many distractions in life. So many, whether it's a cell phone, whether it's the internet, whether it's whatever it is. And we must make a goal for what I call personal growth. In other words, you must say to yourself, I am going to grow in this area of my life, and these are the things I'm going to use to grow myself. Whether it's reading a book, whether it's spending what I call interpersonal time. I think very few people spend what I call interpersonal time. And interpersonal time is the time that you set out to yourself and you think to yourself. It's that time where you get ideas and you write down the ideas, or you plan strategic things about your life, and there are certain thoughts that come to you that wouldn't necessarily come to you if you're not spending what I call an interpersonal time. That interpersonal time is a time of quietness where there's no noise. You don't spend interpersonal time and you have music in the background. No, that ain't interpersonal time. Interpersonal time is time where you set out and there is no noise. The only noise is yourself listening to yourself. And what you will find out is when you begin to spend that kind of time, you increase what I call your focus level. You are more focus-oriented person. You are more goal-driven. Why? Because you have actually tapped into an area of your life that many people usually don't. He's telling me I'm running out of time. Let me shift gears a little bit and just speak to you a few minutes. I want to draw your attention to the book of 2 John chapter 2. Where God says, I wish above all things that you do what? You prosper and be in what? Good health.